In this video, we're going to be creating a duplicate of an existing object. So for example, we have a simple cube object. If we want to create a duplicate of this cube object, we already know that we can just press Shift and A, go Mesh, and select Cube. Then we can just move this on an axis, and we've got a second cube. But this isn't duplicating. This is just adding in another primitive object. What if you had something other than a primitive object? So for example, if we go into edit mode for our cube, let's just increase the size on the Z axis by hitting G then Z and just dragging up. Now this is no longer the default shape of our cube. If we hit Shift A, Mesh and Cube, and just bring it across on the x-axis, you can see that they no longer look the same. We have the basic cube and we have the one that we edited. So what we want to do here is we want to duplicate this mesh as it is. To do this, we can go to the object menu with the cube selected and then come down here to where it says duplicate objects. You'll notice there are two types of duplication. For now, we're focused on duplicate objects. You can see the hotkey for this is Shift and D. So I'm going to use the hotkey, hold down Shift and press D. As soon as I press the D key, you will see that the outline now appears white instead of yellow. If I was to move my object around my scene with my mouse cursor, you can see that we have actually created a duplicate of the existing cube object. So I'm going to hold down Shift and Z to lock it to the Z plane, and I'm going to just position it about, let's just put it here. We can also duplicate multiple objects at the same time, so I can go Shift, left click, Shift and D, Shift and Z to lock to the Z plane, and position these duplicates about here. And now I've got a series of tall buildings that I can begin to create a city scene from. You will notice in the outliner panel that we now have 4 cube objects: the original cube, cube.001, cube.002, and cube.003. Every time we attempt to create a duplicate, it's going to add a numerical extension on the end of the existing name. So the more of these we add, the higher this number is going to go. If you'll remember our videos on object data and mesh data, you will wonder whether or not these have the same mesh data. The answer to that is no. They all have their own mesh data when duplicated in this way. So the cube object has the object data of cube. Cube.001 actually has, in my case, the cube.004 mesh data, etc. So we can actually use different mesh data here. And that means being able to go into edit mode and editing them independently from each other. So we can select each of these and manipulate them in different ways.